I've been showing you this little swatch quite a lot, and I can show you now part of the design. So here is the first sleeve. I haven't steamed it yet. I just attached it to the body. So it is knitted from the cuff upwards, like I told you in the beginning of the episode, so that the knitting direction for the cable stays the same as for the body. At the moment I have only knitted the shoulder seams, so it's quite like a bit of a poncho at the moment, and it's missing the second sleeve as well, but this is how it's starting to form. So it has this all over cable pattern, dropped shoulders, and then the sleeves. The sleeves only have the cables here in the middle, and then the rest is reverse stockinette. So this is how the design is starting to come along. Here is the second sleeve. I ran out of yarn here, so this is all the yarn I have left, and I have ordered one more skein to finish the rest of the sleeve. I don't have about this much left, and then the collar, it will have a turtleneck. So here you can see a slight neck drop, and be all over seamed. One reason why I'm knitting this sweater flat, as I told you in the previous episode, is because it's cabled all over. So when I have the side seams, it's easier for me to cut the design, so it doesn't, if I would be knitting it in a round, then it would look really stupid if there wasn't the side seam and the cable repeat didn't match at the side. And as I told you about, I'll show you this smaller swatch. This, and this is one full pattern repeat. So trying to match this for the whole body, to go round for each size, would be way too hard, as the stitch count for this pattern repeat is more than the grading 10 centimeters for the bust I'm using. So that's why I decided to knit it flat, and as you can see, it is ending with this smaller cable, and also on the other side the smaller cable. So there will be two smaller cables here at the side seam, but I don't think it looks that out of place when there are when the side seams are there. When you have different sizes and different stitch counts and an all over pattern, it might need some adjusting. So just start to calculate the stitch counts, how many stitches you have, how many pattern repeats fit that stitch count, and then just calculate how many full pattern repeats you can fit in that stitch count. Plus, if you want it to be a identical on each side. You can actually see it best on this one. So these two cables make one pattern repeat. So for this one there are two full pattern repeats, but if we didn't have the fifth cable, then it wouldn't be identical, because this is starting with this cable but ending with the second cable. So there are two pattern repeats. That's why I need one more cable, so half a repeat here on the side to make it identical. And the same goes for this design. So if I start with this one, and as you can see, the two larger cables, they are not identical. I need one full pattern repeat plus again this one, and this one here at the end to make it identical. So when you are calculating stitch counts for the body or for sleeves or whatever you have, when you have a repeating all over pattern, you have to calculate how many full repeats plus this extra part you need for the cable pattern. And after that, just calculate how many stitches you have left for each side that don't fit in the full pattern repeat. Can you fit one larger cable on each side, or can you fit one larger cable plus a smaller cable on each side? Or if there are just like a few extra stitches, then it's probably best to knit them in reverse stockinette or maybe moss stitch. For example, here we have a couple of extra stitches at the end, so I decided to just purl them instead of trying to fit more, or there wouldn't be enough room to fit more stitches. So those are your alternatives. For my dark gray cabled pullover, one whole pattern repeat is 26 stitches, and if I want to make it symmetrical so that it starts and ends with the same pattern type, then I need 26 stitches plus some extra stitches to make it symmetrical so that it looks good on both ends of the fabric, so on each side of the front and back. I need 126 stitch repeat plus 16 stitch repeat, which makes it 42 stitches altogether. And here I have my spreadsheet for the cabled pullover, and I have here the numbers that I have casted on for front and back. So I will start calculating stitch counts for, let's start with size L. So I have calculated 125 stitches for the body, which means 125 stitches minus 16 stitches, which is the extra at the end that I need. So I have 109 stitches for the rest of the pattern, and let's see how many 26 stitch repeats we can fit there. So that is 4, so 4 times 26 is 104 stitches. So I have the 16 stitch side plus 104 stitches, so 4 full pattern repeats. That is 120 stitches. So I have 5 extra stitches left that don't fit in the pattern repeat, which means I have 2 extra stitches per side for each side and plus 1 extra. Either I can cast on 1 more, or then I will decrease the number. As I told you in the previous episode, I might have to change these numbers up a bit after the design comes along. So I will change the number to 124. Let's calculate the same for size M. So the stitch count for size M was 115 stitches, and in the same way 115 minus 16 equals 99 stitches. Let's calculate 99 stitches divided by 26. We have 3 full pattern repeats that we can use, and 3 times 26 equals 78, so 78 stitches for the main pattern plus the 16 stitches that we want for the side. So that is 94 stitches altogether. And we had 115 stitches. So 115 minus 94 equals 21, and that divided by 2 brings us to 10.5 stitches per each side. Let's forget the 0.5 stitches per each side and go with 10 stitches per side, as we are going down with 1 stitch as we did for the size L. So instead of 115 stitches we are going to have 114 stitches, and the 10 stitches per side, it could be purl 2, 1 larger cable which is 6 stitches, and then purl 2. That brings us to the same stitch count, so 114 stitches. Let's count 1 more. Let's take the size S, 105 stitches. So 105 stitches minus 16 is 89 stitches left for the main pattern. 89 stitches divided by 26 is 3 full pattern repeats. So it's the same as for the size M. So 16 plus 78 equals 94 stitches, and as we had 104 stitches over here, we have 11 stitches left, which means we have 5 stitches per side plus the 1 extra stitch as for the other sizes. So we will have purl 5 per side because there will be not enough stitches for more cables, so it's better to just leave them as a plain purl for the sides. The same goes for the sleeves. So I started to calculate how many sleeve stitches I have and how many cables would fit there, and the rest on the sides is just reverse stockinette. So that is how you do it. It's kind of like making a puzzle and fitting pieces together. So you are calculating how many stitches you fit there and how many stitches you have left over, and would reorganizing the pattern fit the body or sleeves better. So like I showed you on the body, it starts with the slimmer cable and then the next is the larger one. But for the sleeves, I'm starting with the larger cable and then the slimmer one. So when you are writing the pattern, you have to have your swatch. So you know your stitch counts and your body dimensions. The next thing you need is your spreadsheet, where you have all the information about the sizes and your gauge, and then you have calculated how many stitches to cast on, how many rows to knit before the waist shaping, how many rows to knit for the raglan, how many rows to knit before decreasing for each decrease. Is it every fourth round? Is it every second round? Is it every round? Does it go similarly for the sleeves as for the body? And then when you are writing the pattern, you make the rough construction. So body, then sleeves, then yoke, then neck, and start filling it up. So for example, for this sweater, there's the hem, and then you change to bigger needles and you start the main part, and where to place markers, how many stitches to knit from the side, and then place marker for the charted part, and then how many stitches to knit for the charted area, and so on. Then how to do the waist shaping, how many times, how many rows or centimeters in between, how to do the separating for underarm. Do you bind off the stitches or do you put them on hold for later? For the sleeves, we have the information in our spreadsheet, how many stitches to cast on for the sleeves, how many rows or rounds to knit before each increase for the sleeve, and then to join them in a round for the yoke, and where to place the raglan markers, how to decrease for the raglans, and lastly how to do the neck drop by binding of stitches, and how many stitches to pick up for the collar. So that is the basics of this design. In the next episode, I will be showing you how I make charts, which tools I use for that, and then I will show you how I calculate how much yarn you need for each size, and in the last episode I will show you how you can publish your own patterns on Ravelry. So until the next video, I hope you have enjoyed watching this and have found these little tricks helpful. If there's something you want to ask me, please do, and I will try my best to explain things better.